This is as good as the A-League has ever been.
I don't think there's any other sport that can make you feel that.
It sort of, in a way, reminds me of Maty Ryan.
It's crazy the way life works sometimes.
I've got little legs and I can't do that.
That's me not wanting to get skinned every time, Macca.
It's a recipe for disaster.
The greatest individual form, turnaround / improvement from one season to the next.
I think it needs to be a huge consideration to be in the final Socceroos squad for the World Cup.
For people who want to try and discredit what he's done, I think they're living in La La Land.
Eric Partaloo level.
They're a pretty disliked club from everyone else in the A-League.
I'm scared of the Auckland admin as well.
They should have had 4 yellow cards inside 5-6 minutes.
Every week as well, I'm wrong.
Hey, the rules are the rules, and they've made the decision on the rules, but the rules stink.
In that moment, they've never experienced anything like that.
Because I'm a dumbass, there wasn't enough time to get the footage, so I'm going to have to stick with my first one.
Oh, that is special. Unbelievable. This, ladies and gentlemen, is football.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Total A-Leagues. I'm Vince Rigari, Tommy Orr is here, and Daniel McBreen is back, Macca.
I am. I'm
Yeah.
back. Well, most of me is back.
Yeah, I don't mind it. I
Yeah.
don't mind it.
Thanks. Yeah.
Ravanelli was the shout off air.
Which you know,
Yeah, wearing
played
the blue
like him,
as well.
looked like him. What's not to be? I can see the similarities.
Fair.
Eminem in the first take, which I'm still going to stick by. I think I can see it a little bit. I'd love to hear you rap one day, Macca. But for now, you can just start by giving us your favourite moment of the semi-final second legs, please.
Yeah, look, I'm going to go with big Sammy Cosgrove. I picked him at the start of the year to be the golden boot. He didn't let me down, and it's the penalty. Smits hasn't saved a penalty in his career, and he was oh so close on this one. It just went in slow motion, didn't it, over the line, but Cosgrove came in, finished it off, and then he's a little bit of the pantomime villain. He's really warmed into this as the season has gone on.
Off it,
I think it's,
Talking about lookalikes, Mac, I said this before, I've figured out who he looks like to me. I'm not going to say which Lannister, but a Lannister.
Yeah.
He's
Fair.
got the vibe, he's got the look, the hair, and the attitude
Also
as well.
a villain, yeah.
I'm sure he's a good bloke.
I just loved it how he just belted it into the net as hard as he could rather than just finishing it off.
Yeah.
It was great. Nice little touch there.
Loved it. The South Australian in me didn't, but I try to repress that part of me as much as I can. My moment of the round, also related to Auckland. We were speaking a few weeks ago about how Warren Moon feasted upon, I think my prediction in particular, that the Mariners wouldn't win. I can't even remember what game it was now, but he loved it. So check out this from Auckland FC's social accounts.
Friday night, I'm going Adelaide.
I think Adelaide's going to be too strong at home.
Sit down, be humble. Sit down, be humble.
There you go.
Yeah, so interesting stuff on a number of levels. First of all, I don't know if it's the right week to be bumping Kendrick songs in your... Drake's made a really strong comeback in my books. But then, look, predictions, A-League, we all know. Who cares? It doesn't really matter. It's a bit of fun. And who can pick anything in this league? It's ridiculous.
I just want to say, if I was here, I would have picked Auckland, so don't come for me.
Well,
Right?
every week as well, I'm wrong. So I don't want to curse them by saying they're going to win this weekend, but if they're not careful, that's exactly what I'll wish for.
Yeah, but just pleased on our part that we're able to provide more motivation for the teams in the league, and look forward to doing more later in the show. Thomas, give us your moment, please.
Well, clearly, I got to choose first because I think the Eli Adams goal in the 96th minute to equalise was probably not just the moment of the game, but potentially the season. And for me, I think this is a top 5 A-League moment of all time.
Yeah.
Just the noise, the quality of that finish in that moment. I think this, for him personally, Eli Adams, this will change how he's remembered in the A-League. And obviously people rate him as a player, but this will stick with everybody who's not only in the stadium, but people at home. The noise, you could just see people were hugging strangers, beers flying everywhere. I think I saw a lot of comments as well on social media. People who were at the game said that they've been to a number of sporting events, and that moment, they've never experienced anything like that.
The sort of goal that makes you make an involuntary noise, no matter where you are or what you're doing. I made one in my lounge room. I think you made one on comms, which I enjoyed.
He scored bangers this year, loads of bangers. That there was top draw finish.
Yeah.
That is so hard to do. So well done.
And the composure of that moment of the game and what it needed, it was just incredible. And the celebration, nonchalant as always. There's so much I like about him.
Macca, did that get a bit of resonance for you and the kids in your academy?
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
getting talked about a fair bit locally.
Well, everybody at Newcastle was talking about it. I turned up to the academy on Monday and they were all talking about parents, kids. What about the goal and how did he get his foot over and keep it in? And We're just thinking if he got that on target and it went straight into Devenish-Meares' hand, you would have went, that's not a bad effort.
Yeah.
But to bang it, as you say, 96 minute, top corner, home crowd, fully sold out. It was good. Unfortunately for them, it didn't pan out the way that they wanted it to. But that moment is a moment that will always be remembered.
Yeah. So before we get too deep on the grand final, obviously Auckland FC versus Sydney FC, Go Media Stadium. Really looking forward to that. We'll touch on the Jets briefly. Macca, I think most people wanted to see them in, not for, they're not everyone's team, but like everyone barracks for a good story, a good sort of Cinderella. This club was in, the doldrums not long ago as playing a fantastic brand of football with young players. So from that aspect, people are disappointed that they fell short, but they've had a great season. How do you think not making it to the grand final and not winning that third available trophy to them affects the way that we will remember this team from this season?
Look, obviously it's going to be tarnished a fraction because if they went on to win that game and then make the grand final, I think that game could be, or that moment could be remembered as an all-time.
Yeah.
You've already think
Eric
it is.
Partaloo level.
But,
Too soon.
But look, if you went to anybody who supports Newcastle or wants them to do well at the start of the year, that you could have a fraction of what you've got this year, they would have snapped your arm off for it. And for them to do what Millsy did first year as a head coach, win the Australia Cup, back it up with the premiership, the way they've done it. Look, I think be honestly, my personal opinion is I think we'll always look back at this Newcastle team and go, that's where Millsy started.
Yeah.
That's where his journey started, because I think there's big things coming in the future for him.
And I think the exciting thing for the club is Millsy in the post-game, he said that this is only the beginning. This isn't the ending of this story. And I think that gives them not hope only that he'll stay there, because I'm sure that there's many offers for him to go abroad or, obviously every team in the A-League. But I think that, for them to keep him there and him to see this as a long-term project and to bring success, you can tell he's hungry. He's already thinking about next season. That's great for that club.
Yeah. A lot of work to do, though, with the number of players who it seems like are going to be departing and all that. But I back Millsy to pick the right ones, particularly from the academy that seems to be booming. I'm sure they'll be there or thereabouts again next season. Let's move on to Sydney FC, the team that knocked them out on penalties. Big moment yesterday as we're recording this. I think the players were informed straight after this game that Patrick Kisnorbo has signed a 3-year contract extension, Tommy. That's big news. We were wondering what the go was with Sydney, even if PK, did he want to stick around for longer? Clearly, this matchup between coach and club has worked out for all concerned.
Absolutely, and I think that obviously, undefeated since he joined. At the start, I think the first 3 or 4 games, he brought this discipline that defensively that they didn't have before, and it did take a little bit of time for them to be more kind of proactive in the front third, but now we're definitely seeing signs of that. And to be honest, to come in and turn things around the way he did, you can see he's got complete buy-in from the players. The body language of the players is very different to what it was at the start of the season, you've got to say. So he's completely deserved of it, and I think it's exciting for Sydney FC. If he can do this in 8 weeks, what's he going to do with a full pre-season?
Well, that's the thing. You can see an evolution in 7 weeks. We started off, they were very stodgy but disciplined. We don't concede, and didn't really have much going forward. He started to layer that in a short amount of time. You can see this progression already happening, and you're thinking, all right, imagine if they go on and get success or not success next year when they come in and he has that ground to build it from the pre-season with players that he's going to have his style of play. It could be a match made in heaven.
Yeah. Speaking of progression or, return to what he used to be or bucking, I think, with Rhyan Grant is who I'm talking about. People, I think, were expecting him to slowly decline as a footballer and eventually just, go off into retirement, et cetera, et cetera. This bloke's not doing that. He's playing out of his skin at the moment.
He's like the Energizer Bunny.
Yeah, it's unreal. It's fantastic to see.
I must admit, it was about 18 months ago, I said, there's going to be a time when Rhyan Grant, they're going to have a younger player come in and take his spot. Well, now you're looking and going, well, when is that going to happen?
Yeah.
He looks like he's never going to stop. Both ways, he's still up and down. Okay, maybe not up and down as much as he used to be, but he's still up and down. He's
defending better than ever, I would say.
And I think it's the experience he's got now, the smarts, because that one block before, he went in to cover his teammates. Then he also saw quickly that I've got to turn and get back out. He's leading by example, and the smarts just there to use his body to guide the striker away. He is looking fantastic, and with him and Garuccio as 2 experienced fullbacks, it's only good things for Sydney.
Completely agree. I think he's reimagined himself and become more of an out-and-out defender, which is what that team needs him to be. They've got so much inexperience. You look at the two players next to him, their midfield. There's so many young players. So to have a cool head, somebody he's not the kind of guy that's going to bark instructions and be too angry with his teammates, but he's always very positive and constructive. But it seems to work well, and I think that him getting the armband has kind of taken him to another level as well.
Yeah. Well, what about the other side of the coin is the bloke further ahead of him on the right flank, Akol Akon. He will be turning 17 as people watch this show tomorrow for us as we're recording it. He's going to be the youngest player in grand final history. And he's slowly finding his feet, I think, as a starting player for Sydney, wouldn't you say, Tommy?
Well, I think it's not only what he does going forward. You can see his technical qualities. He's quick and he's positive when he gets the ball and tries to kind of create moments going forward, which he did in this game, of course, was very instrumental for their goal as well. But I think the thing that's so impressive about him is his discipline defensively, and that's obviously why Patrick Kisnorbo trusts him to put him in such important games. It's very rare for a 17-year-old to be that disciplined and to work that hard defensively. Obviously, having Rhyan Grant behind him helps as well. I'm sure he's coaching him through a lot of the game, but it's extraordinary that he is putting in these performances at that age, to be honest.
Yeah, incredible.
Yeah. No, my son's 15, and I think he asked me 4 times before and after the game, is he really 16? Yeah, he is. He is.
Wow.
Yeah, lift.
Get on the weights.
Yeah, that's right. Back to another, Harrison Devenish-Meares sort of in between. Not a veteran, not a young player, he's 29. But goalkeepers can go on for a lot longer, Macca.
Yeah, well, it just came to my mind there. Brian Kaltak started late, hit the ground running. Yeah, okay, Harrison had an iffy season last season, but what a way to come back this year. He has been phenomenal. And we talk about him having a presence. He is a beast, as in physically, but he's not a 6'6" keeper. He sort of, in a way, reminds me of Maty Ryan. He's probably 6'1", 6'2", but he's physically imposing. He's muscular. He's been decisive in everything he's done this season, whether it's coming for crosses, whether it's saves. And you just feel at the moment that he's riding so high on confidence that the guys in front of him just go, well, if they get past us, he's got our back. And when you have that feeling that the keeper is going to do that for you, it gives them the confidence to go, well, I can go and do my job without worrying about what's happening behind.
I think he's been Sydney's best player.
Yep,
I think if you go across the whole duration of the season, he has not missed a single beat. And for me, I think he needs to be a huge consideration to be in the final Socceroos squad for the World Cup. You look at the available goalkeepers, obviously Maty Ryan is there, but for me, he's there or thereabouts as the next best choice.
Yeah. I think possibly as well the greatest individual form turnaround / improvement from one season to the next that we've seen in the A-League over the years.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I never had Burgess that bad. Do you know what
opportunity,
I mean?
maybe. Yeah.
Whereas Devenish-Meares, I'm happy to say, did not have a good season last season. There's a reason the nickname was a thing, and I didn't think you could come back from that, to be honest. And what he's done since is phenomenal, and it continues to blow me away. And the way he performed in that game in the penalty shootout will take all sorts of confidence into the grand final, I think, especially knowing that could be decided on pens too.
Can we reimagine the nickname? The Devenish-Meares thing was a little bit of a mocking thing last year, but when you go to the pub and you're just getting to that point and you go, I've had 6 boys, we're going out now, boys, and you're in fine form and you're raring to go. That's where he's at.
So it's a positive Devenish-Meares.
It's a positive Devenish-Meares.
Are you saying Devenish-Meares is a pre-drinks situation for you, Macca?
Used to be, not anymore.
Very good. We spoke about Patrick Kisnorbo before. Let's hear a little bit from him after the game on the weekend, talking about what he saw when he entered the Sydney FC change room mid-season.
Paddy, go back a couple of months when you first took the job at Sydney FC. What did you see when you walked in and what needed changing? And what are you most proud of now that has changed in this team under your tutelage?
Yeah, look, I walked into probably a dressing room that lacked a bit of confidence and belief. So I wanted to, pretty much show on, how good the players were in terms of individually and collectively. And we pretty much, continued to do the same thing, repetition after repetition. And obviously results do help, to say, okay, things work. But I just saw a group of players that maybe needed a bit of love and a bit of guidance, and, they've done everything I've asked for, and I can't be prouder and happier. But that being said, we need to get ready again for Saturday's game, and that will start tonight. So,
boys, if you're Ufuk Talay, how are you feeling about hearing and seeing that and seeing the way Sydney have performed since his departure?
He's probably not watching.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I think that it would only be extra motivation for him to prove the kind of scepticism that people maybe have around him wrong next season. And I think that the derby next season is going to be something you do not want to miss.
What I took from that was that PK is just a big cuddly bear, isn't he? They needed some love and a cuddle, and he's got them going right.
Yeah, agree. One of their top performers, Ben Garuccio. We haven't spoken about him yet. Let's hear a little bit from him as well.
Best fans in the league over there, but Newcastle as well. As I said before the game, it was such an amazing atmosphere, and this is the benchmark for Australian football, and I'm sure next week's going to be no different. You know, Auckland have had good crowds since they've come in. Now they finally get to the big dance. We're back there. It's going to be massive.
Let's hear even more from him now, because he's joining us on this show right now. Ben Garuccio, welcome to Total A-Leagues.
Hey boys, thanks for having me.
Thanks for joining us, mate. 12 months ago, Benny, a few things would have been pretty uncertain for you. You were at Western United when they were, in limbo, let's say, and you didn't know what was next for you in your football career. Fast forward to now, and it probably couldn't have turned out much better, I wouldn't have thought.
Yeah, it's been a strange year, strange 12 months, obviously, with everything that happened with Western. I think probably when I arrived here in Sydney, I was a little bit rattled, a little bit down in the dumps, and probably not myself for a big part of the beginning here. And then kind of once I got back on the pitch and once I got playing, it's been great. And now to get to this point it's crazy the way life works. Sometimes you can go through one of the hardest things and then you get a carrot at the end of it that kind of makes it all worth it. So they say everything happens for a reason. So we got one more chance now on the weekend.
Mate, looking at you personally, I think your form over the last 8 weeks has been absolutely sensational. You've been tearing it up down that left-hand side, which I love to see. But I want to ask you about the timing of when PK came in and kind of the change in the team that we've seen, because it looks like the team is kind of rejuvenated, reborn. So I want to ask you, because I know you've worked with a lot of great A-League coaches in your time, obviously John Aloisi previously, where you had success as well. But what has been your what has been the impact that PK's had not only on you but on the team, do you think?
Yeah, I think it's hard, coming in so late in the season to really change major things. But I think he really just stripped it back to the basics and doing the basics well. And I know it sounds probably a little bit boring and a little bit cliche, but really getting back to winning your individual battles, training hard every day, bringing that culture back where every single day counts. And I think we've kind of got back to that, and I think the football didn't really come with it straight away. We were getting clean sheets, but we weren't really playing free-flowing, beautiful football. But I think kind of as the final series has gone along, we've started to get better. I think the victory game was pretty average. Obviously, we got the goal from a massive mistake. But I think the two Newcastle games, home and away, I think we really stepped it up with the ball as well. And obviously, the other side of the game is a must. And, we come up against Auckland now, who they kind of thrive off that kind of game as well. So I think it's going to be a very physical battle, and, we need to bring our football along with it.
Benny, you mentioned winning your personal battles, your one-on-one battles. The last few weeks you've been like a man possessed, but particularly against Eli Adams, it seemed that sometimes that you were just racing out there as the ball or before the ball even went to him, and it wasn't a case of you guys in the middle, you look after that, I've got to do this job. Was that something that was really discussed as that's what you got to do, or is that a little bit of you just going, I'm going to get on the front foot and get out there and not let him run at me?
That's me not wanting to get skinned every time, Macca, because, Eli Adams, I think, look, if you look at Newcastle's team, I think, all of them have had standout seasons. Eli's no different. You see the goal he scores, it's kind of comes from nothing. It's obviously a decent ball across from Wilmer, but, I think any ball that goes in front of the back four, you're kind of happy with as a defender. And then it's coming to him, it's like bouncing at his chest, and he's, like DiCanio got there and put it in the top corner. You can't really do too much about that. But yeah, I like to be aggressive when I can. Obviously, you've got to be careful about them spinning you and going the other way. But he's a player that I think likes to get it at his feet and kind of start dribbling one-on-one. So I try to stop that as much as I can.
So looking forward to this weekend, there's another couple of wingers out there for Auckland that aren't too bad themselves. How are you going to approach this one?
Yeah, I think it'll be the same. I always like to try and defend aggressively and defend forward. So it always helps with the boys in front. If we press well for a defender, it makes it so much easier. I think, if they've got time on the ball and they can start to, ping diags and get balls in behind you, and the midfielders have got time on the ball, then it's not a good place to be, especially for a fullback. I feel like we get hung out to dry a little bit, but we've been top in terms of putting pressure on the ball. I think our midfielders, these last 3-4 games have been incredible. Wataru and Paulie, 2 young players that have really stepped it up massively. So for us, it makes it a lot easier. I'll be looking to be as aggressive as I can.
Benny, last one from us, and it's about you, mate. The Socceroos at the moment have 2 fantastic left-backs, as you know, Jordan Boston is Bayic, but we've all done our depth charts, and pretty much your next man up, I think, if someone gets injured or hurt or anything like that happens. Do you know where you sit with the pecking order under Tony Popovic? Have you been on standby while he's been coach, and are you hanging out just in case something happens potentially?
Yeah, I've been in the extended squads. Not really heard too much apart from that. Look, to be honest, I think that position is very, very set. I think, you got Aziz, who's been in there for so many years now, and then you got Bossy, who I think is probably the standout performer across the whole squad. So what he's doing is phenomenal at the moment. So, look, I'll see. I think it's been a good thing that we've gone so deep into the finals. It means that I'm playing competitive games and I'm going to be fit. So, look, we'll see what happens. I'm always ready, and it would be an absolute honour. But, yeah, I'm not holding my breath.
All good, all good. Well, Benny, thanks so much for joining us, mate. Best of luck for the grand final, and hope you go well.
Thank you, boys. Cheers.
Mate.
Good stuff from Benny Garuccio. Really sort of flown under the radar, I think, a little bit of how good he's been this season. And I think, as we were discussing the other day, what an interesting dynamic. Usually teams that have a lot of young players put those young players in the wider positions. Sydney FC have got the inverse. They've got Rhino and Ben Garuccio as the fullbacks, and then basically a pretty young core from sort of midfield onwards.
Yeah. It's like 4 inexperienced players, or not all inexperienced, but 4 young players in between them, where you'd normally have the basis, the rock of your senior players. So.
And against Newcastle, though, because you look at where Newcastle's dangerous, and we just spoke about it, but Clayton Taylor and Eli Adams, that was a clear outlet. So it actually worked in their favour in that specific fixture, I think.
Could it work the same with Auckland? They've got the wingers. It could be a perfect matchup.
Yep.
Before we talk more about them, we'll give Adelaide United the same treatment as we did the Sky Blues. They're obviously out, 3-0 loss at home. A really disappointing result. As impressive as Auckland were in that game, I think is as disappointing as Adelaide were. Didn't really turn up, Tommy.
Well, I think that as well, the first kind of 15, 20 minutes of this game were important. I think they had to bring the crowd more into it and have more kind of sustained possession in the front third and put more sustained pressure on Auckland's defence, really. And I think, Auckland, there was a couple of chances that Adelaide did have where they maybe weren't as clinical. They had one in the first minute, a massive chance that they obviously lived to regret. But I think defensively in this game, we saw in the first tie in Auckland how well Adelaide defended. They were desperate, they were aggressive. They weren't any of those things in this game. And every time Auckland attacked, I thought they looked dangerous. There was no long throws, set pieces, everything like that. It was just Adelaide was kind of pretty, static and not getting in their faces enough. And ultimately in finals football, you can't defend like that, Macca.
Yeah, exactly right. But also you've got to take your opportunities when they come, and they didn't do that. Across the 2 legs, I thought they had some really, really good opportunities. And like this is the first minute, I think it was, Anselmo. He had a great opportunity in the first leg. And then you got, they had, I would say, 3 or 4 chances across both legs where you think, I'll tell you what, that's a moment that you could look back to regret. Ryan White had this perfect chance here. Now here, he tries to do the right thing. He wants to lift it over the outrushing Vowd, but he just doesn't get a hold of it well. And it just wouldn't fall for them. And when you factor in, the desperation in defence and not being clinical at the other end, it's a recipe for disaster.
Yep.
Yeah. So on to Auckland, and I want to start with Steve Corica, their coach, who also underrated for me, and I think you guys as well. He's got the chance now to become the first coach in A-League history, A-League men history, to win 3 championships. No one's done it before. We've had some fantastic coaches through this competition. None of them have done that as yet. If he does that, Tommy, does he have a claim to say, I'm the best there's been in this comp?
I think he's definitely in the discussion. I remember on this show last season, we had to rank our top 5 A-League coaches of all time, and he was in my top 5. So he's done nothing to obviously get out of that. But just tooting my own horn as usual. But I think that he's definitely underrated. When he was the Sydney FC coach, we all know that all the talk from his success was that was Arnie's team and he's inherited it, which missed the point that that's not an easy thing to do, to take over a successful team, first of all. Mm-hmm. But secondly, he kind of dispelled that by going to Auckland, building a club from scratch that is that good straight away. Obviously winning the Premier's Plate the league last year and then making a grand final this year, it speaks for itself. And you can just see the discipline that his teams have. They're always so difficult to play
The thing
against.
about that, though, Tommy, is I reckon people were probably saying, yeah, but they got Bill Foley as the owner and they've spent a lot.
The salary cap.
So this is what I say too. That oh no, it was Arnie's team. He's just doing Arnie's team, and oh no, now he's got all the money, right? How many times have we seen coaches take over from a coach that's been really successful and it goes downhill quickly? Yep. So you've got to maintain that, but also then actually improve it and keep it going. Because if you stay stagnant, you're going backwards. Yeah. Then to go to, we've seen loads of times where clubs have started up, they've got all the money, coaches have got all the players they want, and it doesn't work. He's got a formula, and whatever he's doing, he's got it right because he's super successful. He's very understated. Every now and then he likes to get up and have a little dig at people, but he just gets along with his business for the whole and just gets it done. For people who want to try and discredit what he's done, I think they're living in la la land. He's obviously quality coach, and he'll be licking his lips for another trophy.
Yeah. There's something about the personality or just the way he is, I think, that people don't quite warm to him. Maybe the long association with Sydney FC as well. They're a pretty disliked club from everyone else in the A-League, so maybe, his attachment from literally day one of that football club until not that long ago has rubbed off on him and people won't give him sort of the benefit of the doubt.
Well, I think that's definitely part of it, but I think that any coach that is successful with a club is disliked by every other club. So that's also why he's disliked by everyone else, because he wins things.
Yes.
And that's also why he'll probably remain disliked potentially beyond this weekend.
Yeah. A reason why Auckland are maybe disliked around the competition, particularly in Adelaide right now, Craig Goodwin had some interesting things to say after the final whistle last week. Let's listen to it.
Yeah, look, at the end of the day, they've won the game and they deserve to win the game. I don't like to talk about decisions and things like that, but it was very clear from the start that they should have had 4 yellow cards inside 5-6 minutes. The shirt pulling in transition and those things, I think, was a poor start in decisions from the referee, which gave them the edge into, imposing their physicality on the game. I think, especially things like that, if it's cracked down on from the start, inside the first 2 minutes, they did 2 that were blatant yellow cards, should have been booked. Pineacre should have been sent off inside 10 minutes. But other than that, they're decisions that are going to go your way. I can sit here and say it sounds salty because we lost the game. At the end of the day, they won the game. They deserve to win the game. They were better than us on the night. But I think that first 10 minutes, the decisions from the referee allows them to impose themselves on the game.
Not wrong for me, to be honest. Yeah. And as he said, doesn't mean they weren't better and should have won. But I think the context of that game changes if there's an early yellow card or two. There were definitely at least a couple deserving ones, and I think he's just done Sydney FC a massive favour ahead of this weekend because the refs will have heard that and taken it on board. And even if they go, oh, well, I disagree, subconsciously that message gets in your head and I'm sure has an influence on how you referee a game.
Without a doubt. I was at home watching the game and I was thinking exactly the same thing. I'm like, 1, 2, 3, how many are they going to get away with? Because that does have a massive impact going forward. As soon as someone gets a yellow card, the next one they've got to pull off, but they just kept pulling the shirt.
It was specifically Pineacre, I think, that was the main culprit. I think there was
Strata joined in as well. He loves to get it stuck. But you're right, Pineacre did 2 or 3. And you're like, come on, they've got to give him a card.
And I think that the other side of the coin is, though, that Adelaide didn't do enough of that. And I'm not saying they needed to foul them, but they weren't physical enough defensively. You're not going to say you shouldn't. I'm not saying you should go into the game to be dirty and foul the opposition, but you could tell that Auckland were up for it. They didn't get punished, so they thought we're going to keep doing it because they're not getting punished. Adelaide needed to be more physical defensively. That's what I'm trying to say. And I think that because they were too passive defensively, that allowed Auckland in the key moments to score the chances they created.
And I think Sydney will take those lessons, and Patrick Kisnorbo will make sure that they take those lessons on board in the way they defend.
Yeah. Without a doubt. And I think that's all good for Auckland. If you go out there and you go, we're a strong, aggressive team, and you've committed a foul, you're probably thinking, oh, I'm going to get booked here. Oh, I didn't. Oh, I got the next one. I'll go. You're going to keep doing it.
Exactly.
So fair play to them. You're not going to start going, oh, I'm not going to do a challenge. Yeah. So referee has to lay that line in the sand and say, no more.
It's the job of the players to push the envelope as far as they can.
Yeah,
and then
good on them.
The ref says, well, no, you can't push that envelope anymore, pal. It stops right there.
Yeah.
So, like you said, no hate on Auckland for the approach, but the refs probably just need to tighten it a little bit. Interesting game ahead. I can't wait for it. We'll give our tips later on boys, but there's been plenty of other stuff happening in Australian football this week, a truckload actually.
Yeah.
We'll start with the Socceroos. Another batch of names has been released for the Tony Popovich Music Festival in Sarasota, Florida. These are the latest arrivals in camp, a couple of interesting ones. Dylan Leonard, first call-up for the Socceroos. He's only played a couple of games, I think, for Schalke since he returned from injury, but clearly
highly rated.
Very highly rated, potentially in the same category, if not just under, as Lucas Harrington. Seems like Australia's centre-back stocks are in great hands. I'm not sure if he's going to make this World Cup squad, but clearly Popper likes the look of him and wants to bring him into the environment. Gianni Stensness hasn't been called up for a long time. He's always had a lot of injuries, but Popper's obviously been keeping an eye on him as well. And Cammy Devlin, I'm pleased to see him in there, especially after just the absolute heartbreak of the final day of the Scottish Premiership season. The photos of him and the other players from Hearts walking off the team bus, still in their kits, because they had to rush from Celtic Park straight onto the bus because of the pitch invasion. I could not imagine a more brutal way to lose a league than that.
I mean, it was brutal, but I mean, I'm sure it's been a roller coaster of emotions for him personally as well, going through that, but then getting called into the Socceroos World Cup squad, where I'm hoping he makes the final squad. I'm a huge fan of his, but it's difficult to comment too much because there's obviously still so many players to come in. I guess reserve judgment for the squad until you see all of it.
There's also a couple of injuries with the midfield in particular as well. Aidan O'Neill's in this squad, but we actually don't know his situation with his ankle injury. And then there's Patrick Yazbek as well, who we know won't play until the World Cup. We don't know how bad his injury is. So I think Devlin would have been there anyway. But I think his chances are higher depending on what the situation is with those two guys as well.
After seeing some of the photos of the guys already there in training, I bet they're really glad there's more guys coming because they look like they're getting put through their paces quite hard. So,
and here they are now, here, Macca. Are you starting to get a little bit more of an understanding? I think we all had a decent understanding of what Popper's 26 was going to look like. Has anything shocked you with the names so far that have come out?
For me, the only disappointing thing is maybe no Newcastle players, which maybe they could still be to come. They only finished a few days ago. I was hoping to see Eli Adams, Clayton Taylor, Max Burgess, one of them in the squad, just to have a look at him. I think that they've been deserved of that. That's probably the only criticism I have of the squad so far, personally.
Yeah, I'm pretty much the same.
Yeah. Interesting times ahead. A few more players. I think this coming weekend, most leagues around the world wrap up, and after that, players have to be released to their clubs. So I think there'll be one more batch of bands for the lineup poster that Popper's been spreading around Florida. And I think from there, probably trim a few, and then you have your 26 with a few train-ons as well. The World Cup is very, very close. I cannot wait. I'm really excited. Not only because I'm going over. I'd be enjoying it here anyway because of the time zone. The A-League news that's around that can't go past Arthur Dillers is out at Melbourne Victory. We suspected this might happen. Pretty, would you say, ruthless move, Tommy, by Melbourne Victory? It hasn't been bad by any means, but I guess, and this was reflected in the club statement a little bit, is they want to set their ambitions higher than where they have been recently, and that's pretty rough on Artie, who's done a decent job, but they need to go out now and find a better coach.
Well, you've got to feel for for him personally, I mean, because obviously making a grand final and then coming fourth on paper, you have to say it's a harsh decision. But as you just said, I think I like the ambition of the club. They think that they're the biggest club in the country. They always talk about themselves like that. And they think that to win trophies next year, he's not the man that can do that. So you've got to respect the decision, but whether it's or not it's the right decision, only time will tell.
Speaking of decisions that are right or wrong, Macca, I know you don't like this one. Victory are into the ACL2 next season as well. That's fresh this week because the AFC has decided that Heidelberg do not meet their criteria, cannot play in the competition.
They don't meet the criteria. It was clear in the what was in there. They've got to be in the top 50% if they didn't win the Australia Cup. But this is where I'm going to say the rules are the rules, and they've made the decision on the rules, but the rules stink. I'm of the opinion if the Australia Cup is your pathway into the ACL2, and the first one who get the winners get out of that because of what Newcastle's done, well, second place or the runner-up should go straight in. That's just my opinion. People have disagree or agree. Disappointing. It would have been lovely to see how Heidelberg would have went in that competition, but their loss is Victory's gain, and they're going to find a new coach who's going to take them into the new path.
Yep. And a good shot at winning it probably as well, as any A-League club in the ACL2 should feel.
Yeah, I mean, Mariners kind of paved the way, and I think that challenging on multiple fronts, though, is a different prospect. So I think any coach that comes in is going to have his work cut out to kind of build a squad that can carry that extra load, for sure.
An update as well of sorts on the situation with Western United, who are obviously in hibernation in the league this season. As things stand, the first instance body of Football Australia has decided they haven't satisfied the requisite criteria to be back in the competition. All the other A-League clubs this season have. So anyone who's in the comp, they're all going to be in the comp next season, but Western United, pending an appeal, if that happens, won't be in the competition. And they, in their statement here, which you can read, they say that they assure the community that work continues behind the scenes to stabilise the club and secure a long-term sustainable future for football in Melbourne's West. So watch this space again. I guess we'll clock back in a few months' time or 12 months' time to see where they're at, Western United. Finally, the PFA's team of the season has been released as well, boys, and I just want to know what you think of it based on this. Any standouts here, any shocks, or is this pretty similar to what you'd come up with?
Pretty good team, to be fair. The only one who I think is a little bit stiff, and I'm stealing it because you said it in the chat, but I completely...
You keep taking my stuff, but that's
Careful, because a lot of it's not very good. But Eli Adams, I think, being on the bench is a little bit harsh. Obviously, Akon, but these players who are in there, I mean, they've all had fantastic seasons, breakout seasons, and good to see the Jets get representation for they were the standout team for the duration of the season, really. Yeah. So.
Any other views, Macca, that you didn't share that Tommy couldn't steal?
No, he's taken all my views.
Before he thinks them.
No, same. I just think Eli Adams probably harsh not to be in the starting lineup. He's on the bench, but you can't argue too much. It's a pretty strong team, isn't it?
Yeah, and just to think, at the end of last season with all the departures from the league at that time, we were thinking who's going to step up? Are they going to be players who we're expecting to? Are they going to be names that we didn't predict? Well, a bit of a mixture there. Mm-hmm. Just shows you no matter who comes and goes in the league, the cream rises to the top. There's always talent and it emerges in time. Right now we're going to hear a little bit more from Wataru Kamijo's good mate. We had a clip from him a couple of weeks ago of his experience at a Sydney FC game. He went to the semi-final second leg in Newcastle, and here's what he thought.
This might have been the craziest and funniest football game I've ever been to. So me and the boys went to go support Wataru in the Sydney FC semi-final versus Newcastle Jets with a crowd of 25,000 people. And this was a good game. The players were physical and the fans were even louder. And I was getting worried because Newcastle had so many opportunities to score until this happened. What? Look at the Sydney FC crowd. This guy hitting the L-dance was so funny. And now it was 1-0 and we were sure that our boy Wataru was going to the finals. Until the refs gave 5 minutes of extra time in the 90th minute. And in the friggin' 6th minute, Newcastle does this. It was raining beer, mate. Ridiculous. After 30 minutes of extra time, nothing happened, so we go to penalties. And that was up to Sydney's decision-making penalty shot. That's it. And just like that, our boy's gonna go to the finals to verse Auckland FC. I don't know whether this day was funnier or crazier.
Well, I'm just glad everyone had a good time.
Yeah.
But
not the Jets fans.
The TikTokification of football continues, though, and I don't know how I feel about it.
I know exactly how I feel about it.
At the end of the last episode, he said, "Oh, and by the way, single ladies, I want an update. Has he been inundated with swiping right?"
100%. We should get an update for the grand final. That's our request to Wataru's mate. Please produce. As we welcome Narlene back to the desk. What's happening, man?
Nothing much. Grand final week, boys. We're all excited. And, you guys spoke about it earlier. Kisnorbo signing that new contract. He's here to stay for 3 years. And Sydney FC filmed the players' reactions to it. So let's have a look at that now.
Guys, keep it confidential, but Patrick signed a 2-year contract. Yeah?
Is he saying, get off me?
Yeah, trying to keep it professional, I think. I don't know.
Guys, relax. Calm down.
I think Al Hassan would act differently if he had his time again with that one. I think I didn't seem too comfortable.
Look, no doubt the players are happy, but, I wonder how many takes. Guys, up the energy. Cameras are on.
He's looking at that now, Pika, going, who did you celebrate?
Yeah.
Given it's grand final week, it's inevitable that I have to ask all three of you for your all-time favourite grand final moment. Macca, kick us off.
I'm going to go with the Central Coast Mariners' 6-1 win against Melbourne City. They were the underdogs. Monty, this was the culmination of Nick Montgomery coming through the academy, building the academy up, and then stepping into the first team. He had he took some players that were not wanted at other clubs, some unknowns from overseas. He brought some kids in, and they absolutely turned it on that season and waited to give their best in the grand final. And they really, really smashed Melbourne City. I was there that night. There was some great celebrations after. But I am a bit of a dumbass because I think the one next year was even better. The first time they had one at home, last-minute equaliser, the crowd running on the pitch. Yeah. But because I'm a dumbass, there wasn't enough time to get the footage, so I'm going to have to stick with my first one.
The nicest pitch invasion of all time.
It was lovely.
The most polite.
All run on, and then they went, "Excuse me, can everyone leave?" And they went, "Yep, no problem."
Best moment from that 6-1 win as well was Jason Cummings with his winner's medal being like, "I feel like Ali G, I feel like Ali G." It was an incredible moment. Tell me, what's yours?
For me, mine is going all the way back to season 1, and it was obviously Steve Corica scoring the winning goal against the Central Coast Mariners, Dwight York getting the assist in their 1-0 win. This was, at this point in time, the biggest crowd in Australia for a domestic football game. I think it's been beaten a number of times since then by the A-League, but beautiful scenes, and I think for the first season it kind of capped off the first season of the A-League wonderfully, and it's a full circle moment for Steve Corica this weekend, coaching against his beloved Sydney FC.
Isn't it funny how football works? And also, little Mark Milligan as well, a young one in that Sydney FC squad, and incredible crowds, and this time we'll see it across the ditch. But Vince, what's yours?
Mine is the one that Tommy probably would have wanted to pick, and one that Daniel McBreen probably relives in his head every 20 minutes.
Eric Partaloo as well.
I wouldn't blame him, mate. And we've seen this a million times, and that's not enough, because this is as good as the A-League has ever been. One of the great Australian sporting moments for me. I was there, and the thing that a lot of people miss about this is how much this meant to Brisbane as a city, because it had just been ravaged by floods not that long ago. I remember walking into Suncorp Stadium. It might have even been for this game, and there was a thing on the wall. It was like a behind glass, like a panel with like safety things and all that, like things pinned on a pin board and all that, like paper. And all the paper had been not replaced because the water had gone up so high, which is hard to conceive if you know Brisbane well, and Suncorp in particular. So it was a trip to think that, like, a few weeks before this game, water was higher than sort of, my height at least, in that level of Suncorp. And then this was a great release for the city, and not the start of the Ange Postecoglou legend, but a moment that brought it to the mainstream for people who didn't remember what he did with South Melbourne. This was the moment when Ange's team started to be recognised for, they always come back. They always do amazing things in the last minute. And then Macca, I'm sorry for bringing it up, but where were you? What were you doing?
That was a little sweetener.
We tried to pull on the heartstrings with the flooding and all that stuff, and I'm just not having it.
Sorry, man.
It was a foul on Pedge Bolich.
It was. Rocky Visconti, it definitely was.
You said every 20 minutes? I think it's every 5 minutes going on this round.
Around you guys,
Now, back to this weekend's semi-finals that we saw. It was heartbreaking for Newcastle Jets at the end, but Eli Adams will always have that moment, and it's sort of what you spoke about with Partaloo's goal. And that was the 96th minute. Now, I don't think we've heard a crowd like that, probably since that Partaloo moment. Macca, you were calling that one, and you couldn't hold back, your reaction to it on call. But where do you think, in terms of noise, the atmosphere-wise, where does that rank for you all time?
We, as commentators, we were behind the glass, and even then we were both like, "Wow, what!" Like, I think you hear once Benny says the Iceman's done it, and I had my little giggle. We just stopped because the sound was so good. We were like, we don't have to say anything. It told a story in itself, and we just let that sound go, and it was phenomenal. And the social team done a great job of showing all the different angles of the crowd going up. And I've watched that on replay because that's what, in football, that's what you live for. A 96-minute winner in front of your home crowd, packed out, and everyone goes absolutely balmy.
And I think as well, it's worth saying, I don't think there's any other sport that can make you feel that. And to be so dramatic in that moment like that, that's the beauty of football. And in the A-League, we're fortunate that we've had so many of those moments in such a young league, to be honest.
Insane. What they did with Eric Partaloo's, the sound from that goal as well. I don't know if you went around. You were gone.
I was overseas.
Yeah.
Still heard it though.
You weren't you weren't buying Brisbane Roar jerseys though, because I'm pretty sure the next season or the season after, they took the wave. I don't know what the technical term is, but yeah, the waveform of that, and put it on the back of the jersey at the top there.
Oh, that's unreal.
So anyone who bought that jersey has the visual representation of the sound of that goal.
That's incredible. We need
And in
one
there, there's probably me swearing. So.
Alrighty, well, you spoke about Corica scoring the first goal in the first ever A-League's grand final, and it's also going to be a pretty full circle moment as well, because the last time Sydney FC were in a grand final was when they lost 3-1 against the Melbourne City side that was coached by Patrick Kisnorbo. Funnily enough, Ben Garuccio, now a friend of the show, was also in Melbourne City colours at that time. But boys, it feels like it's a bit of fate for Steve Corica. I mean, to sort of, or Kisnorbo, I should say, to get that moment for Sydney.
This is a record. This has never been done in any, since 1977 NSL, that two coaches who have coached against each other have then swapped clubs and coached one for the former club. Andy Howe pulls his stats out from wherever he pulls them out from, but he went through, and this has never happened before. So it's, you know, it's history being made, and it's good to watch. Now we know that he's got a 3-year deal as well, that he's there, Paddy. He's fully invested. I think it makes it even more sweet.
And a testament to the quality of both of the coaches. We spoke about Corica earlier, but also PK. I think he cuts a hard rap. He's been successful everywhere he's been.
You know what's cooked? 2021 was 5 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah. That's what I was thinking at first when it came up as
when
well.
Did that
Where
happen?
is time gone?
What the hell? I'm pretty sure that was like 2 years ago, actually.
Hair's falling out.
I was like this back then. You're joining the club, brother. Actually, no, you're not. You're in good nick. You just got to
back, mate. Don't worry.
Pare it back a little bit more.
I think Sydney are thinking the same, Dan. 5 years, but hey, they're back in it. Now, there was also a special moment in that game that millions of people across the world have seen online. It is that Marco Tilio skill. How he managed to keep the ball in is beyond me here.
Little legs have to help, because long legs there, that hamstring just goes.
I've got little legs and I can't do that. I'm not sure how helpful it is, to be honest.
I think my hamstring pinged just watching that, to be honest.
That's remarkable. He's always been such an enigmatic player, and I think this season when he kind of burst on, he was only 18 at the time, such a great player to watch. And for me, I'm hoping that, we haven't seen the last of him in the A-League as well.
Yeah. All right, Arlene, thank you very much for joining us. Before we go, though, we're going to do, us three boys, we're going to do our tips for this game. Who are we going to give some motivation to this week? Who needs it? Who deserves it? Or are we actually going to predict the team that we think is going to win? We'll let the viewers at home decide. We'll just say what we think.
Yep.
Thomas.
For me, I think Auckland is going to win. They're going to be too strong at home with that crowd behind them. Obviously, Sydney FC did well to get to the final against the odds, but Auckland too strong.
So I'm scared of the Auckland admin as well. I'm going to go Auckland at home, too strong with that crowd behind them. No, I actually think it's going to be a real tight one. I think a one goal will separate them, but I think Auckland will bundle a scrappy goal.
Long throw.
Yeah, a long throw that drops and someone tips it in and runs away and celebrates.
Yeah. Macca, I think the same. I think Auckland will do it at home. Or do I? Or do I want Sydney FC to win, and I'm just saying that?
Tell me after what you really think.
Yeah. Nobody knows. I guess we'll never know. It's great words of Kanye West. We'll never know. Thank you very much, boys. Thanks again, Arlene. We'll see you at home next week on Total A-League.